Staying with NDTV, you're watching the Friday edition of The World Report with me, Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. A big story this Friday, the bromance between US President Donald Trump and Elon Musk is over. Viewers, from key advisor to bitter feud and disagreements over Republican spending bill quickly have turned personal, and how. Elon Musk claims without his help, Trump wouldn't have won the election. On the other hand of the aisle, Trump says the easiest way to save money would be, in fact, to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. Now, the implosion of the year's most consequential political alliance stemmed from Musk's repeated criticism, in fact, of the Trump-backed package, and the breakup threatens to spill over into other arenas as well. Meanwhile, my colleague Nick Harper gets you the latest from Ground Zero.
A very public bromance breakup playing out on social media during the course of the day here in Washington, D.C., during which we've seen both Donald Trump and Elon Musk throw around insults, threats, accusations, all of them on their respective social media sites. It started earlier in the day on Thursday when Donald Trump in the Oval Office was asked about Elon Musk, who he has, of course, been working very closely with during his first 4 or so months in office. But Donald Trump said that his relationship with him seems now to have changed. That after Elon Musk criticised his signature legislation that he's trying to push through Congress, a massive spending bill that would involve tax cuts as well. But Elon Musk says that it is an abomination, that it would undo much of the cost-cutting work that he did when he was heading up the Department of Government Efficiency. There is a suggestion from a non-partisan group that Donald Trump's legislation would add more than $2.4 trillion of US debt over the next 10 years. And then during the course of the day, we just saw all of this escalate, going from bad to worse to even worse. Donald Trump on social media saying that Elon Musk was crazy, with Elon Musk saying that Donald Trump would not have won the election without him, and saying that the president was showing such ingratitude now. And then things seemed to amp up a notch when Donald Trump suggested that he would cancel all of the government contracts that are currently in place for Elon Musk's companies. And the thinking is that if that were to happen, Elon Musk would lose somewhere in the region of $38 billion, an enormous hole in his balance sheet if that were to happen, involving a whole range of contracts in automotive, in space and in defence sectors. Elon Musk, in return, has suggested that he will decommission SpaceX's Dragon capsule. Now, this is the only way that US astronauts can get to and from the International Space Station. Without that capsule, it'll be very tough for the space program to continue. There was also a suggestion from Elon Musk that there should be a third political party being created in the United States, a way to get around what he sees as the problems in Donald Trump's Republican Party. Elon Musk posted to X a poll in which he's asking people to vote. Millions of people have already voted. That poll will end sometime on Friday. It's unlikely to lead to the creation of a third political party, but shows very much that relationship between the two men seems to have ended, and ended in quite spectacular fashion. It's unclear exactly how much further this spat will go, but there are potentially some massive implications at play here. Nick Harper, NDTV, Washington.
Well, we are also now joined by my colleague Vishal Vivek for more on this story. Vishal, very interestingly, they say that you cannot unscramble a scrambled egg, which, apparently seems to be the case here very clearly. Now, with billions riding, with this relationship, this strained relationship between Trump and Musk now, could this also have a cascading effect on India and Indian markets?
Well, that remains to be seen, Arjun. But what we have here is a series of events that led to this, faltering of the friendship. So it started on June 3rd when Musk attacked Trump for the first time, a full-blown attack in which he termed the bill as a disgusting abomination. That was followed by June 5th, around 12 p.m. ET, when Trump hinted that Musk will criticize him, and he said that he's very disappointed in Elon. And that was followed by another 2 hours and another post by Musk in which he launched a poll on X saying that is it time to create a new political party. So that was another attack on Trump. and followed by another post on X in which Trump hit back on the comments made by Musk and said that Elon has just gone crazy. So these were a series of comments made by the leaders, and on June 5th, 4:11 p.m. ET, Musk says yes to a question asked by a Twitter user, X user, in which he said whether or not Trump should be impeached. So he said yes to that, and that is how it all unfolded.
Well, thank you so much for putting things in perspective there, Vishal. And of course, we'll keep on following this story. Viewers, now staying with the story, as I said, as the spat between friends turned foes spiraled with both billionaires targeting each other openly, Musk, in fact, has decided to drop another bombshell, claiming that US President Donald Trump is, in fact, in the Epstein files. Not only this, he's also claimed it is due to that very reason, viewers, that details and other findings of the investigation have not yet been made public. Shifting focus to the Ukraine border, a Russian missile and drone attack on Kiev early Friday killed at least 4 people and injured 20 others, the city's mayor has said. Now this as air raid sirens rang out during a wider combined attack across Ukraine. Multiple explosions were heard in Kiev, where falling debris, in fact, sparked fires across the several districts. Now this as air defense systems attempted to intercept coming targets, according to the head of the Kiev city administration. Meanwhile, authorities reported damage in several districts and rescue workers were responding at multiple locations. They urged residents to seek shelter. Here's more.
I believe in peace, but in the strong way with partners and Ukrainian side. So yeah, might be Zelensky will do this, but as you see, it's not will be soon, because the partners, the Trump, the other leaders, it's just talking, and it's like what talk about? It's like 4 years coming, like the war. It's just killing people.
We shift our focus to India, where the Reserve Bank has slashed its key lending rate, or the repo rate as it's called, by 50 basis points to 5.5%. Now this comes as a relief for borrowers who may expect lower EMIs for long-term loans, especially home buyers. RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra says that global backdrop remains fragile and global trade projections have been revised downwards. But he also asserted that India would continue to grow faster. Here's the RBI governor for you.
The MPC decided to reduce, which is widely expected, the policy repo rate under the liquidity adjustment facility by 50 basis points to 5.5%. I repeat, the reduction recommended by the MPC is for 50 basis points to 5.5%. This is with immediate effect. Consequently, the standing deposit facility rate, which is the STF rate, shall stand adjusted to 5.25%. And the marginal standing facility MSF rate and the bank rate shall stand adjusted to 5.75%.
You heard it from the horse's mouth there, viewers, but what does this hat-trick rate cut from the RBI mean for you and me? Let's get in Sakshi, my colleague, to break this down for us.
Key lending rate cut, of course, higher than anticipated by most economists by 50 basis points by the RBI to 5.5% from 6% earlier. So remember, this of course comes at a time when the RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra was saying that, look, India's economic fundamentals remain strong. Of course, our growth has been steadily growing as far as India's economy is concerned, and inflation has been steadily moderating. That of course has also come, shown and reflected in, of course, the projections coming in from the RBI this policy. So of course, for our viewers to understand what does this mean for you, me, and of course many borrowers, well, if banks translate this rate cut, it means that their borrowing, their monthly EMIs get cheaper, whether it's home or auto loans. And of course, we have seen the reaction on the markets as well. We have seen these rate sensitive sectors outperform now, turn to the green. Remember, earlier in the day, we saw a flat open from markets, but now clearly rate sensitive stocks like auto, home, real estate giving a thumbs up to the RBI policy at the moment.
Shifting our focus back to Washington now, where US President Donald Trump has said we want to have foreign students come. Though he signed an executive order only on Wednesday night to block nearly all such students from coming to study at Harvard. Listen into what Trump said.
Did you talk about the Chinese students? Are you allowing them to come to the U.S.?
Chinese students are coming. No problem. No problem.
Okay, and on
It's our
Russia?
honor to have them, frankly. Look, we want to have foreign students, but we want them to be checked. You know, in the case of Harvard and Columbia and others, all we want to do is see their list. There's no problem with that. This is anybody outside of our country, international students, because when we see some of the people that we've been watching, we say, where do these people come from? How is that possible? No, we want to have foreign students come. We're very honored by it, but we want to see their list. Harvard didn't want to give us the list. They're going to be giving us the list now.
And well, education was not the only issue Donald Trump has spoken on. He's also said that Russia and Ukraine may need to fight for a while to assist efforts to bring peace, likening the two countries to bickering and fighting children. Trump was in fact speaking alongside the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who was visiting the White House, and Trump said while he was there, sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart. And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. Meanwhile, Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping confronted weeks of brewing trade tensions and a battle over critical minerals in a rare leader-to-leader call on Thursday that has in fact left key issues to further talks now. Trump said he will visit China after speaking to his Chinese counterpart, describing the conversation as a very good talk. Thursday's call, in fact, is the first time, viewers, the two leaders have spoken since Trump launched a trade war with Beijing in February. Shifting focus, Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz, elected last month itself, met President Donald Trump in Washington for the first time since becoming the leader of Europe's biggest economy. In a meeting Merz called friendly, two leaders discussed the Russia-Ukraine war, and Merz also mentioned the D-Day, the 6th of June, was coming up the next day. President Donald Trump told Germany's new Chancellor that the D-Day, the day the Allied forces in fact invaded Nazi-occupied France, which eventually led to the collapse of Adolf Hitler's regime, was not a pleasant day for his country. Here's more.
Absolutely, and I'm here, Mr. President, to talk with you later on how we could contribute to that goal. And we all are looking for measures and for instruments to bring this terrible war to an end. And may I remind you that we are having June 6th tomorrow. This is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
Staying with Germany, the country will need up to 60,000 additional troops under the new NATO targets for weapons and personnel, their defense minister has said, as the alliance beefs up its forces to respond to what it sees as an increased threat by Russia. Over in West Asia, the Israeli military struck several sites in Beirut's southern suburbs that it said held underground facilities used by Hezbollah for drone production on Thursday. It's on the eve of the Eid ul-Adha holiday. The strikes marked the first time in more than a month that Israel had struck the outskirts of the capital, and the fourth time, in fact, since a US brokered ceasefire agreement ended the latest war between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah back in November last year. Now, Israel posted a warning ahead of the strikes on social media site X, announcing that it would hit 8 buildings and 4 locations. A man accused of yelling "Free Palestine" and throwing Molotov cocktails at demonstrators calling for the release of Israeli hostages in Gaza was charged Thursday with 118 counts. That's correct. Now, these include attempted murder, assault, cruelty to animals, and explosives crimes in a Colorado court. Mohammed Sabri Soleiman, the 45-year-old convict, or the accused rather here, was advised of the charges during a court hearing in Boulder, where he appeared in person. He has been jailed since his arrest following Sunday's attack. Authorities have said 15 people and a dog were victims of the gruesome attack. Listen in.
We also have assault in the first degree counts. For any victim 70 or older in the state of Colorado, that person's an at-risk victim. So that assault in the first degree count is raised a level from a class 3 felony to a class 2 felony. There's 2 counts of use of an incendiary device, and then a number of counts for attempted use of incendiary devices, as well as an assault in the third degree count and an animal cruelty count for the dog who was injured in connection with the attack.
A Congress MP, Shashi Tharoor, who's currently in the United States leading an all-party delegation, was asked a question by his son Ishan about Pakistan's involvement in the Pahalgam terror attack. Ishan Tharoor asked whether any country had asked the delegation led by his father for evidence of Pakistan's involvement in the deadly Pahalgam terrorist attack on the 22nd of April that killed 26 people, mostly tourists. He also asked about Pakistan's consistent denial of its involvement in the terror attack. To this, here's what Shashi Tharoor said.
There were three particular reasons I want to draw your attention to, all of you. The first is that we've had a 37-year pattern of repeated terror attacks from Pakistan, accompanied by repeated denials. I mean, Americans haven't forgotten that Pakistan didn't know, allegedly, where Osama bin Laden was until he was found in a Pakistani safe house right next to an army camp in a cantonment city. That's Pakistan. Mumbai attacks, they denied having anything to do with it. One of the terrorists was captured alive. His name, his identity, his address in Pakistan, everything was revealed. Under interrogation, he told us where he was trained, what was done.
Meanwhile, across America's northern border, the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is secretly holding direct talks with US President Donald Trump. Now, why is he doing this? Well, he's doing this to work out a framework for a trade and security agreement. This is as per the Globe and Mail. The talks between the leaders and top cabinet ministers are being held discreetly to ensure a positive outcome. The report said it also cited the US ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra. A 15-year-old boy found guilty in 80-year-old Bhimsen Kohli's death following an unprovoked assault was on Thursday jailed for 7 years, while a 13-year-old girl, also convicted of manslaughter over the attack in a park near Leicester, Eastern England, escaped a custodial sentence. Justice Mark Turner, who handed down the sentences, in fact, in a televised hearing from Leicester Crown Court, described the attack on Kohli as he walked his dog in September 2024 as being wicked. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro testified on Thursday to federal police in an investigation involving his son, suspended Congressman Eduardo Bolsonaro. Viewers, in May, Brazil's Attorney General Paulo Gonet requested an investigation into Eduardo for alleged actions in the US that authorities claim may have very well aimed to intimidate Brazilian authorities amid ongoing legal proceedings against his father. Here's more.
Mas foi depositado na minha conta 17 milhões de reais. Tá? E eu botei 2 milhões na conta dele. Tá, ok? Lá fora tudo é mais caro. Eu tenho 2 netos, repito, um de 4 ou de 1 ano de idade. Ele está lá fora, eu não quero que ele passe por dificuldades. É muito, é bastante dinheiro. Lá nos Estados Unidos pode ser nem tanto, dá 350 mil dólares. Mas eu quero o bem-estar dele e graças a Deus eu tive como depositar esse dinheiro na conta dele.
Veterans were gathering Friday on the beaches of Normandy to mark the historic 81st anniversary of the D-Day landings. It was a pivotal moment for perspective of the Second World War that eventually led, in fact, to the collapse of Adolf Hitler's fascist regime. Viewers, tens of thousands of onlookers are expected to attend the commemorations, which include parachute jumps, remembrance ceremonies, parades, and, of course, historical reenactments. The June 6, 1944 D-Day invasion of Nazi-occupied France used the largest ever armada of ships, troops, planes and vehicles to breach Hitler's defenses in Western Europe. In fact, a total of 4,414 Allied troops were killed on D-Day itself. More than 25,000 residents in 3 provinces have been evacuated as dozens of wildfires remained active Sunday and diminished the air quality in parts of Canada and the US as well. According to officials, now most of the evacuated residents were from Manitoba, which declared a state of emergency last week itself. About 17,000 people there were evacuated by Saturday, along with 1,300 others in Alberta. Also, about 8,000 people in Saskatchewan had been relocated as leaders there warned the number could in fact climb even higher. Viewers, currently there are 27 wildfires in Manitoba and there have been 111 fires so far this year. This is according to Kristen Hayward. He is the Assistant Deputy Minister with the Conservation Officer Service and Manitoba Wildfire Services. Here's more.
There is precipitation in the forecast on the weekend for some areas of Manitoba, including areas where we have fires in the northwest as well as the east. At this time, those precipitation amounts are pretty variable and uncertain. So I'd like to remind Manitobans that just because you might see a blob of rain on that precipitation map, that's not going to be enough to put out these fires. We will continue to be working on these fires for some time to come, but it certainly will help us to make good progress.
Well, with that, it's time we slip into a short break. I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching The World Report on NDTV. Now, news from the world of business. Investors sold off shares in Tesla on Thursday. This as tensions erupted between boss Elon Musk and US President Donald Trump. Now, shares in the electric car company dropped 14%, wiping out roughly $150 billion in market value in only one of the world's first days in months. The losses were an indication of what might be at stake for Musk as he breaks with the White House, known for wielding the power of government against what it sees as enemies. In the sports world number one, Ariana Sabalenka battled past four-times champion Iga Swiatek to reach her first French Open final with a 7-6, 4-6, 6-0 win on Thursday that ended the Pole's reign in Paris and snapped her 26-game winning streak at the tournament. The Belarusian will face 2022 finalist Coco Gauff in Saturday's showcase match. Now, this comes after the American crushed French hopes with a straight sets victory over wildcard Louis Busson. Thousands of Jordanians took to the streets on Thursday as their national football team qualified for the upcoming FIFA World Cup for the first time in its history, viewers. Fans chanted slogans in support of their team, carried Jordanian flags as you see right there on your TV screens, and celebrated in the streets. Now, Jordan qualified after defeating the Oman 3-0, and after South Korea, in fact, defeated the Iraqi national team. World Cup 2026 will be hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Listen to some fans.
واحنا كشعب فرحانين فرحه لا توصف للامانه يعني. انجازات رائعه فتره زمنيه ما شاء الله ممتازه يعني. وهيك بنكون وصلنا لاعلى قمه كرويه في الكره الارضيه الحمد لله.
Shifting focus to the world of entertainment, where there's more bad news for Sean Diddy Combs. Another one of his recent ex-girlfriends described enduring drug-fueled sex marathons until the hip-hop titan's arrest in September as the key witness began testimony Thursday, soon after the judge threatened to expel Combs from the courtroom for nodding vigorously, viewers, at jurors during a sharp cross-examination of another witness. The woman, using the pseudonym Jane, is among several witnesses at Combs' sex trafficking trial who accuse him of violence. Meanwhile, Combs has pleaded not guilty to running a racketeering enterprise that concealed the abuse of women over 2 long decades. Now, if convicted, he faces up to 15 years to life imprisonment. That's all we have for you this Friday. Take care and have a wonderful weekend.